Gremlins, guys, welcome back to another stream. We are going to be doing the first ever stream of the Gremlin Gazette podcast, you guys. So this has been something that I was talking about, I want to say a few months ago, maybe late last year. You know, I had the idea of going with a Foxhole focused podcast. Again, mainly focusing on the happenings of that specific war. We're going to talk about also just other things within the game. And then some topics just outside of Foxhole, because I really don't want the podcast to be 100% Foxhole related. I want it to be a sprinkling of other things as well. But you know what? It really just will boil down to the happenings for the week. What's going on in Foxhole, what's going on my channel, what's going on with, and we're going to get into this as well later on, the guests and the guest channel. So really this whole first episode is going to be about, what to expect on the podcast, how it's going to be laid out. We're going to talk a little bit about what War 110 and what happened there, during the past week, some of the main issues that a lot of people were talking about in War 110. So we might pull up Reddit, we'll see. And then going into War 111, what I'm excited for, what I'm anticipating, and also just a little bit of stuff outside of Foxhole as well. And then at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about the plan for the next episode and future episodes moving forward. I know the screen looks a little weird right now. I didn't create for those of you guys watching, first of all, we're going to have this podcast on Spotify for folks that just want to listen in. And we're going to have it on YouTube for folks that want to actually see what the fuck I'm talking about and what the guests are talking about. Right now, because there's no guests, it's just a black screen right now. But that's going to be changed. We're also going to have an overlay for different websites and stuff we pull up as well. Kermit, what's up, man? Unfinished Essay, how you guys doing? We're also going to take questions from folks watching the stream live. So that's the other reason why I wanted this to be kind of put into the repertoire of my stream schedule. So I'm going to, every Sunday, the reason why it's today is because the war is starting later today. And for tomorrow, I want to spend my time streaming the war instead of the first episode of the podcast. So we just did a slight switch this week. Podcasts will be every Sunday. They'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. If you guys want to take a look at the schedule for that, I'm going to be updating my Twitch schedule to reflect that as well. And you'll be able to listen to the podcast as well every Sunday and catch it live on Sunday as well. So the idea is this week's podcast is going to be going live for people to watch on my YouTube channel and then Spotify for the following Sunday. I think that covers everything about, just early high level stuff with the podcast, where you can listen to the podcast, when you can listen to the podcast, how you can participate in the podcast. Guys, make sure you're sharing the podcast with your favorite Foxhole friends and family, of course. Get your mom in the chat, get your dad in the chat, get your cousin. And we're just going to be diving straight into it, you guys. So first off, let's go over a little bit about the podcast, why we're doing this and the overall goal as well. So, we spent a lot of time talking in chat. Some of you guys are already in chat right now about things going on within Foxhole, things that we're seeing that either we have criticism for or that, we just really just can't believe we're seeing some of this shit. I think a lot of people get the main thing that we're going to talk about is this idea of alts versus new players. But we'll talk about that in a bit. So my main goal is I want the podcast to be something outside of Reddit and that echo chamber. So people can get kind of a difference of opinions. We're going to have, like I mentioned before, guests on the podcast that will share their opinion on it too. We'll have some discussion on that. And again, we're going to include the audience and get their take on it as well. And then the overall goal really is just to have just fun and enjoy each other's company, get some different perspective, make some of that sweet Foxhole content. Um, other than that, you guys, let's move on to the next topic. Let's move on. Today's episode is going to be pretty short. We're only going to be doing, I want to say, like 45 minutes of content today. Typically, these podcasts will be about an hour. I don't know about you guys. Me personally, I can't listen to a podcast for 3 hours long. That's fucking insane. That's way too much time. I just want to listen to maybe an hour, hour and a half max. So that's my goal of keeping the podcast brief and full of that juicy drama or content, whatever we end up covering for the day. Hey, Mickey, how are you? Welcome, you guys. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the first episode of the Gremlin Gazette. So moving forward, this is just the first episode where I'm going to be including some more overview for those of you guys that just joined. When we go to the second episode, we're going to save comments and questions, all that, with chat to the end. So I might actually start that now just to practice that. But if you guys are commenting, I'm not ignoring you. Just want to save all those comments and questions to the end, if you have any. And with that, let's get into the actual content, you guys. Okay, so let's talk about the current state of the war, which is realistically previous war, War 110, right? Collies took a massive L. Warrens, great job. Round of applause for you guys. You guys did a great job. I personally really love comeback wars because they're really inspirational. I mean, you're going from like almost losing the fucking war. People could easily just quit, like a lot of the colonials did. And you know, the Warrens didn't do that. They just buckled down even harder. So with that, right, you know, what I saw, areas where I was just like dumbfounded, and we're going to talk a little bit about some drama that got brought up in the subreddit as well, and kind of my take on that. But to start off, you know, when that last war was going, or when that last week of the war was going on, man, dude, the North was just getting their asses beat up left and right. We were just taking L's. There was nothing we could do. I think a lot of that really came to the fact that we didn't have high-tech bunkers at that point. We had some, I think, in Callum's Cape, but those got destroyed super quick. And the reason why was, I thought we had storm cannons shooting at us from that range. Maybe not. They were definitely shooting up at Speaking Woods, which we're going to talk about that next. But yeah, we were losing hex by hex. I think by the time we lost King's Cage, or at least the northern part, Farragut Coast fell, and then after that, you know, Westgate, and the rest is history. So great push from the Warrens. I love and I wish we did this more, but like just the speed that they push, and because colonials have such a strong early game, I think we just tend to hit a wall and then we just stop. We never like find new weaknesses or ways to push in. We just kind of like dig in at that point, which, you know, everyone has a different opinion on that. Me personally, I think you could do both at the same time. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, but I think it's really important to have builders in the back line constantly building up, and a good force pushing forward, keeping the pressure on, making sure that we don't give up our gains, right? Going into the storm cannons that were talked about. So I'd mentioned this in one stream before, and I think somebody, I forget their name, somebody had said, basically, I was saying, we as colonials for several wars never have enough storm cannons. We're always outnumbered when it comes to the storm cannon count. And I think there is a direct correlation between the Warrens winning and us losing because of the storm cannons. I think we won the last war, or the last, whatever war we won last time. We had more storm cannons than them. I'm not saying that's the only reason per se, but it's a strong reason. The person I was talking to who was saying, well, 90% of the storm cannons don't even see action or don't really shoot at anything significant. But that's the point. That's a good thing. You know, that's not necessarily, you don't need to build a storm cannon all the time to take out a target. You need it to hold the hex or towns within its range that are valuable, right? So like maybe you deter Wardens from pushing because they see there's 3 or 4 storm cannons. If they take this town, they're going to get shelled. And I think that's what happened in Basin. You know, they had storm cannons set up at Cuttail Station or somewhere around there, and those were just fucking going crazy. They pushed us out of the Hex. They pushed us out of Speaking Woods, and I don't know. People just don't think that. People just don't think that we need storm cannons as much as the Wardens would, I guess. So difference of preference when it comes to those. Yeah, me personally, we really should build more. We should get as many storm cannons built in key strategic points as possible. We don't need to overdo it with the storm cannons, but you know, guys, I mean, I think I only saw storm cannons in the south. Like we didn't have anything in the north. So food for thought. Be interested to hear more people's opinion on that. So that was in terms of main issues, that's like the main thing I saw. Going into the subreddit. Actually, I'm going to pull this up right now too, just so I can kind of read some of this too. In the next streams, we're going to make sure we have the webpage pulled up for you guys to see. We don't have that set up right now. I have the webcam set up, but nobody is a guest at this moment, so we can't see anybody. 1 second here. Let's get the subreddit up. But okay, while I'm getting this up, you guys, one of the main things I've seen on the Foxhole subreddit, main issue people have been bringing up, and I think I'll add the caveat of it's mostly Wardens saying this. Fingers, the fucking fingers. They allegedly, this isn't me saying it, but they blew it for the collies by just LARPing at sea and not actually doing anything meaningful. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate. So when it comes to the fingers and what was going on, right? I think they were doing what they needed to do, which was holding that hex, and they did that successfully. They held that hex for the entire war. I think it's weird for our own faction to kind of poo-poo. Again, it's mostly Wardens, but anyone from our faction to poo-poo on the players and the fingers because they were having a good time and building up that hex. If memory serves me right, I don't think there are any victory points on the island hexes. I don't know if anybody can confirm that, but pretty sure there aren't any victory points. At least from Foxhole stats, that's what I saw. So I can see where people are saying it's LARP because there's nothing really to gain. I've heard arguments where people say, you know, those island hexes are great for putting pressure on the mainland. That's something I disagree with for sure. That's bullshit. It's only, you know what it's good for, you guys? It's good for containing the Navy, but it's not good for containing the mainland or putting pressure on the mainland. Unless if you have destroyer or battleships and you're actually shelling the mainland. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because I wasn't fighting in the south that much, but I didn't see a whole lot of that going on. I know that they brought their battleships out. I know that they were killing ships left and right. I had heard stories of them taking out some towns, but then they would rebuild, right? So I think for me, what I saw, what I see, and what I think about island LARPing, as you want to call it, it all comes down to, do you have landing ships and do you have a like mainland presence to put pressure? Because if you're just going to destroy things from the Navy, they're going to rebuild. They're going to rebuild, and like you just wasted shells to make it look like you did something. I don't think it's, again, I don't think it's fair to blame the fingers, and I personally don't blame them for the loss. I think we just got burnt out, and that's something we're going to talk about right after this. But I think people just got burnt out, you know, towards the middle and end of the war and stopped playing. I think with Charlie players coming in after the merger of the two shards, it just really put a lot of it put a lot of new blood into the Warden side and the Warden faction, and they were just really able to steamroll us after that. somebody had mentioned that, you know, you can actually dehusk cores from the sea and it's worth it. That I agree with. But I think, again, I'm talking mainly about those towns that were targeted and were destroyed. I guess you could reset the tech if you can tap it, but I didn't see much tapping going on either. Yeah, dehusking cores, totally get that. That's not what I'm talking about. It was the focus on main towns and just not really like taking over them or like tapping. Getting a mainland presence is what I mean. Like getting infantry on there to try and take those towns over and build up defenses. It was mainly just shelling whatever we could shell, and then that's it. Yeah, I mean those are pretty much the main. Oh God, what was it? There was one other thing, you guys, I was gonna say. What was I just saying about the fucking? We're going to talk about server stuff in a second, you guys. We're going to talk about server stuff in a second. I lost my thought, but maybe we're just going to go straight into server-related issues, and maybe that thought will come back to me. So let's talk about that, you guys. Let's talk about the servers. Wardens, I know you guys got shafted quite a bit when you were trying to go after the fingers, and it pained me to see that shit because I think we had that happen more than a few times up north as well. Just the mass disconnects. I know when I was doing Logi, there was disconnects happening left and right. Servers. Okay, so this is going to become a video, maybe even this coming Friday. I don't know if it's going to come that soon or not, but I'm still doing a little bit more research. I know the devs have talked a little bit about fixes for the server disconnects, and saying how a lot of the issues were coming from Steam outages. I've talked about this before. Those of you that, you know, tune into the Twitch streams often, I think I've mentioned this a few times in the past already, but I don't think it's a Steam outage issue. And I say that in the sense that, like, the Steam outage issues are not the main culprit. And it's not fair to make it seem like they are the main culprit. I'm going to preface again, I'm not a dev, not a game developer, just a guy with a microphone on the internet who says stupid shit. And this guy fucking has an opinion about this that he feels strongly about, God damn it. Okay, so when I was doing my research, you guys, you know, I'm looking at the engine that Foxhole's made in. It's an Unreal Engine 4. And you look at a lot of the other MMOs that are in Unreal Engine 4. I think it's like Arcage. Let's quickly pull this up, you guys. Let's pull this up. MMORPGs in Unreal Engine 4. We've got Ashes of Creation, Arcage, Throne and Liberty. So Ashes of Creation hasn't even come out yet. I don't know how that game's going to perform. Throne and Liberty, I've never even fucking heard of. It's an upcoming game as well, so it hasn't even been released yet. Arcage is the only one I've actually played, and I enjoyed it, but I know they were having connectivity issues as well. And I think that game is, like, dead at this point. Let's see the Steam charts for Arcage. Arcage Steam charts, if you take a look, there's 168 players in the past 24 hours. 11 minutes ago, there were 147. The game's dead. The fact that it used to have a all-time peak of 6,490, I mean, shit, dude, that game is, it's done. And again, it goes back to the connectivity issues, which we're going to talk about right now, which is these games that were built in Unreal Engine 4. I think Unreal Engine specifically is a great engine for, like, FPS games. And, you know, like, I don't know if you would consider Destiny like an MMORPG, but stuff like that, where it's like smaller teams, like you're maybe in a team size of 4 to 6. I can't remember how many people are in a dungeon. I haven't played Destiny 2 in a while, but, you know, mainly FPS games where the connections between the players are minimal. It's not like hundreds of players connected to each other or connected to the server itself. Now contrast this to, like, MMORPGs that have, well, let's talk about the names first, right? Let's contrast that with, like, RuneScape EVE Online, Guild Wars 2, and all these MMOs, especially EVE Online, which is more of like a comparable example. They all have their own proprietary engine, or they built plugins to engines that they use to better fit with their MMO. RuneScape and EVE, I think they're all proprietary. Guild Wars 2, I think, has plugins, or they built some of it from scratch, but they also use a like kind of cookie cutter engine. Can't remember. Let's actually look that up right now. Guild Wars 2 game engine. It's the Havoc engine. It's a heavily modified version. So it is. It's a proprietary game engine called Havoc, but they've modified it to fit with Guild Wars 2. Going back to what I was saying before. So all three of these games, which are all incredibly successful, RuneScape more so, EVE Online more so, given their age and player base, they've been able to achieve great network stability because they did everything in-house from scratch, given what they're trying to build. Foxhole's not like that. Anvil Empires, though, is like that with their R2 engine. That's why I'm excited to play Anvil Empires when that comes out. And I think I'll take a break from Foxhole when that happens and just focus more of my time playing that game just to see, I'm interested in the gameplay. And I want to actually see how well it performs. So people who talk about, and I've seen this a lot, there's a lot of cope. Devs are going to fix this, you guys. Devs are going to make it so that we can have large scale naval battles again, you guys. Guys, we're going to have fewer disconnects. It's not going to happen as much. It's all cope. It's all cope, you guys. I hate to say it, and it's really blunt. Maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Unless if the devs do a rework of some kind, or they rebuild the engine and import everything from Foxhole into that new engine and get it all working, as long as they stick with Unreal Engine and they don't make any changes to it with the connectivity, it's going to be the same shit, different day, right? You're going to still have disconnects. Maybe the frequency could be reduced somehow, but they will still happen. You will still have instability of servers given the high number of players. We're going to still have long queues. We're still going to have disconnects at sea because of all the players trying to go from one hex to another. I don't think that's going to get fixed. And unfortunately, that's just the state of the game at this point. You know, I wish it wasn't the case. I wish that it was built from like the R2 engine. Maybe a Foxhole 2 would end up being like that. But as it stands right now, guys, I think that's just how it's going to be. When I release my video talking about this, I'll have receipts, I'll have screenshots, I'll have way more information to share for you guys to review. Right now, it just sounds like hearsay. But nah, this is from what I've seen, what I've heard, research that I've done. Yeah, that's all I can say about that, you guys. I wish there was more of a discussion on that. There is sometimes on the Reddit just like poo-poo on the server hamster, but like, dude, like I don't think people actually realize how bleak it looks with the possibility of them actually able to fix it versus the reality of they can't. So it's either going to come down to, you know, Foxhole gets sunset and they put all the effort into Anvil Empires, or when Anvil Empires, you know, gets released, builds up, maybe it blows up as well. You know, they take resources from that. They take the gains they've got from Anvil, remake Foxhole. That'll be like years down the line, you guys. I'm not talking within the next 2 to 5 years. That's going to be like, we don't even know when Anvil Empires is going to release. So I don't even know when that'll happen. God, I'm going to look like such a fucking idiot if they like, you know, next update, hey guys, we just redid everything. But anyway, guys, let's move on. Let's move on to the next topic. Hope you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. Let's talk a little bit about guests very quickly here. So, you know, I'm going to be reaching out to a few different content creators within the Foxhole community to see their availability, see if they would be interested in joining. I don't want to spoil anything on format. I think it's going to be a lot more entertaining than this right now. It's so hard to do a podcast when you're by yourself. It's a lot of talking, but guys, I appreciate anyone listening in right now. All of you guys chatting up in the Twitch chat or YouTube chat right now. I see you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not ignoring you at all. I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm covering all these topics. I'm going to make sure at the very end we cover questions, Q&A, any sort of comments you guys have. We'll go over and talk as a community and have a nice discussion that way. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Operate? What's up, Manson? Adi, what's up, man? All right, guys. So, yeah, we'll have guests coming on soon. We're going to talk about that in a bit. I see that, Adi. I see that. I know. It'll happen. It'll happen. So we talked about War 110, you guys. Let's talk about War 111. It's starting today. It'll be on, I think, what, in like 2.5 hours? 2 hours, 20 minutes, roughly. What am I most excited for? What's going on? First of all, let's talk a little bit about the Gremlins. Let's talk about what's happening with my regiment and what's going to happen by and large for the war. So I've talked about this on my Discord already. For those of you that aren't in that, highly suggest you guys go there. That's where I post all my videos. That's when I post when I go live. Updates on the regiment if you want to join the regiment. And it's just a fun little group of people for you to hang out with. But in terms of what we're doing for War 111 and what's happening with the Gremlins, so we're going to be coming back. We have a soft, active status going on for this war. And the reason why it's not a full-on, like we're getting back into the swing of things is, first of all, when you've been gone for a war, you got to ease back into it. You're going to burn out if you just go straight into like facility building and bunker building and just like full-on large-scale operation planning and all that stuff. I don't want that. I want us to get back in, have fun, and the way we're going to do that is this. So we're not going to focus on any facility stuff. We're not going to focus on any base building stuff. We'll still do operations. We'll dabble in like, you know, tank operations as well. I feel like most of the Gremlins really enjoy the tank lines and tank columns. And I want us to stick with what we're good at. Honestly, guys, last war, there wasn't enough artillery going on. And I think we need to go back to that. I think we need more artillery. So for this war, that's where I kind of want to lean in more. I want us to get 120s made. I want us to get 120 shells made. And we're going to just go crazy on a fucking artillery campaign. We're going to be fighting on the west side. I think it's a north versus south map, right? So we're going to be fighting on the west side, same as before, Farragut Coast. That's our stomping grounds. That's where we're always at. So we'll set up and fight on the front lines there. And I think that's where we're going to focus early war until we get tanks. And then we'll transition more to tanks and maybe sprinkle in some more artillery. But I really want to do more arty stuff. I really want to get arty support for the front line because that's what makes and breaks a push for sure. So on top of that, with the operations, right? They're not going to be private like before. I think in the past, I've always posted them in the Discord. I never really like post it outside of that. Maybe to a few other Discords for like allies, but I want to get people within the game aware that we're doing stuff and to come join us and help us. I know more veteran players and like higher ranked players would be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to get ulted. Like, look, me personally, maybe I got a lot of faith in people, and I would hope that they're not just alts. They're probably just 9 times out of 10 new players. We're going to talk about new players after this, but and this issue with alts. So that's the whole goal. Is I want it to be more public. I want to have new players come in, join, learn from us. I want more like seasoned players to join as well, so that we can get that experience in the operations, and ultimately just have a lot of fun doing arty and maybe a little bit of gunboating. We'll see. So that's the goal next war. No facility, no base building. We're not going to take over a town and like make sure it's defended. We're going to just shell the fuck out of the Warrens. If it wasn't made aware already, yes, we're staying Kali this war. So anybody that's listening and interested in joining, definitely go to the Discord. If you're on my Twitch right now, you can take a look at the Discord link in the About section. Post your F1 screenshot. And join up either as an ally, or if you want to join the Gremlins, you can do that as well, and we'll get you added as a certified Gremlin. Let's talk a little bit about. Here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna talk a little bit more about some issues that were brought up from last war, and then we're gonna take some time, pivot over to questions, comments from the chat, and we'll go from there. We've been streaming for 40 minutes right now, guys. I want to stream for a little over an hour, and we'll get this uploaded for next week. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about where you can listen to the streams and all that, but let's talk about alts. Let's talk about alts. That was a main issue that the collies brought up, even the Warrens too, for War 110. Now, I'm gonna plug. I saw Robert's video on kind of like, you know, the main issues with Foxhole based off of the Steam charts, and I think alting was mentioned in that one. It might have been a different video too, but alting was definitely mentioned in one of Robert's videos that were recently posted within like the past month. And you know, I gotta agree with his statement. I think him and I agree pretty much 100% on this. I think most of the time it's new players who don't know how to play the game that are doing weird stuff, and I think that comes off as looking like an alt. I know there was one video where I think he was teaching somebody how to do Logi, and yeah, I mean, me personally, even as a guy who's played the game for a number of years, I've driven a truck full of crates of Logi through a broken bridge and destroyed everything. Now, if you were just seeing that, and if I was a private, you'd be like, yep, that guy's an alt, 100%. Guys, I was fucking tabbing out. I was like doing shit on YouTube. I was like, I was looking up a new video while driving at the same time. That shit happens. I had another person, and I'm going to sound like a fucking moron, but I was talking with some buddies in Discord, and I was AFK at a storage depot. I was on the pad itself, tabbed out, because I was showing my friends something. I tab back in and some guy's yelling at me like, fucking alt, fucking alt. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, we're getting our shit pushed in and you're AFK on the alt. I can't put, you're AFK on the fucking storage pad. I can't pull any tanks or anything. I'm like, shit, dude, my bad. And I'm like, yeah, this looks like alt behavior. I'm being big dumb head right now. But I get a kick out of it when people immediately assume it's an alt that's fucking up for them or fucking up the game. The reality is either it's new players most of the time or players that are tabbing out doing other things too. They're not paying attention and shit happens, right? Like either you're blocking something or you're driving off a cliff, you're driving off a broken bridge, you're not paying attention, and that stuff does happen. I'm not gonna say alting doesn't happen. It definitely does happen. But at the same time, you guys, we gotta remember that we've got a lot of new players that play the game, and we got a lot of new players that don't know exactly what they are doing. And so crazy shit happens sometimes. And I think people need to take a breath and just, you know, ask the person, hey man, you need help with anything? Hey man, what's going on? You know, do you have any questions about doing Logi? Do you have any questions about base building? Maybe they're building like just a fuck ton of trenches, you know, but that's what they want to do. So just, you know, be more helpful, be more courteous. And I think you'll see a drastic change in your view when it comes to who's an alt and who's not. You know, I think communicating first is the main thing. And don't just accuse people of alts. The amount of times I've had people in Jade Cove saying this person's an alt, and I look at their activity log, and they like literally have just played the game. They have no damage, no nothing. They maybe have like 500 friendly vehicle damage or like whatever. That means that they like destroyed a vehicle, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, they're trying to do stuff, and they're not used to where they're at, right? At least in the location of the game or where they're at. I I've even seen dead ass. I saw somebody say that this person's an alt in Jade Cove. The man has fucking, I think like 5k enemy damage. He's done Logi. He's been submitting and gathering resources. I guess he like threw a tank off the fucking like port in Jade Cove, and they called him an alt, and then I guess he killed somebody. I'm like, bro, you had a disagreement with this guy that you're not talking about in chat, and that's why he killed you. Like, I don't agree with it. If he did purposefully like throw that tank off the port, I don't agree with it. But the guy's not an alt. Like, it's so the brain rot is insane. It's honest to God insane. I think it's just like a cheap thing to say. It's like calling somebody racist. It's like you just say it. Like, come on, guys. It's not always the case that this person is an alt. Let's get that through our heads. Let's get the facts before we start calling people alts. Because the reality is, if we just keep using and abusing the in-game report function, the devs aren't going to actually give a shit when an actual alt is doing something. That's the whole problem. That's my soapbox on alting and new players. But anyway, great video by Robert. Everyone should go take a look at that video. It was, if I had to say, it had to have been either teaching new players Logi, that video, and also it was the main issues with Foxhole based off of the Steam reviews video. Those were both really good. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here from content. Let's talk a little bit about, well, let's get to the comments, questions, and other stuff going on in the chat. I want to make sure I get to all of you guys. Let's start with YouTube first. Breshart, what, by your opinion, is the most effective thing to do at the very start of a war? I want to try and cut Logi at Faranac. Is it worth it? I think cutting Logi early in the war is definitely super effective. I think that's something you could see a lot of benefit from doing. The only thing I'm gonna say, the only thing I'm hesitant about is early war. You don't really have access to like the submachine guns until I think like the next day or 2 days. So when I think like early war, start of the war, like you were saying, I'm thinking the literal start, like day one. Day one, I think what's incredibly important is to build up Logi and driving it and depoting it at like frontline shipyards. I'm sorry, storage depots and seaports. So take those crates, bring them to the frontline seaport and storage depots, depoting plenty of extra trucks. I mean, holy cow, if we can get more people depoting trucks, that helps so much with Logi, and that helps so much with the bottleneck at the garages. We've all seen it, guys. We've all seen the fucking long soup kitchen lines, people sitting at the garage waiting to build. So if we had more of those getting depoted, like when you're done with your truck, instead of putting in your private storage depot, like I don't do that on day one. I just put it in public if I'm done for the day, just because that's going to help alleviate that burden at the garage. And it just keeps the fucking economy turning. Just food for thought there. And then in terms of just what else you could be doing, you know, biggest thing, and people are going to laugh at this, Mammon Rush. Mammon Rush. Mammon Rush. Build Mammons. Get them to the front. Mammon Rush. Just fucking push hard. Get an organized group pushing with Mammon Rushes. You can get some ground real quick that way. Wait until you get a submachine gun like the Fiddler. I'm assuming you're a Warden, but if you're a Warden player, get the Fiddler, get the Line Claw. If you're a Collie, at that point, then it makes it so much easier to do Logi cutting as a partisan. If you're using just a rifle, it could still be effective. It's just you're going to need more players with you. You're definitely going to need a group in order to be successful. But if you're like a solo partisan guy, then yeah, full on, you're going to need a submachine gun at least. I hope that answered your question. What do you guys think? What do you think is a good early war, like day one thing that you think more people should focus on? I think some people would say base building too, but I think that's more of like the middle to back line, more so middle line. Front line just needs to keep pushing. Because once you get a breakthrough, then you can start building up that front. I think that's it for the YouTube questions. Let's go straight to Twitch now, you guys. Let's go up to Twitch. So we're we're scrolling up a bit here. This is from like previous things we talked about. Adi was saying that he doesn't think they're going to remake Foxhole anytime soon, if ever. Yeah, I mean, if ever, probably not, dude. They'd probably just sink it all into Anvil and build that up. Especially if they end up seeing, if they see a huge player shift from Foxhole to Anvil Empires. I think some people were saying that the games are supposed to have like 2 separate communities with 2 separate interests. I think they're still going to have, there's going to be a huge portion of the Foxhole community that likes Anvil. I'm one of them and wants to play that instead of Foxhole. Again, I'm one of them. So I think we're going to see a drastic reduction in the number of players on Foxhole, but maybe that's a good thing. If there's a cap, on the number of players per hex and whatnot, and it's only a couple hundred or something like that, like, you know, you gotta have less players playing in order for the game to be more enjoyable, and I see nothing wrong with that. So we'll see. I mean, I think it'll be 7 to 10 years before we see a Foxhole 2. I mean, Anvil Empires has to come out first. I even think they need to go with a 1.0 update before they even do a Foxhole 2. Will they do it that way? Unsure. We'll see. We'll see, you guys. By the way, we have over 20 people watching right now. Thank you guys so much for chatting up and hanging out with me on the first episode of the Gremlin Gazette. I'm going to talk a little bit later where you can listen to this if you're not catching it live. But thank you again so much, you guys. Thank you so much. I know some of you guys have followed as well. I'm sorry I haven't been able to see that or get to that. Let me quickly get that. Dalton, thank you so much. Subatomic Bread, thank you as well for the follows, you guys. Appreciate you. I gotta get some fucking alerts set up for this view. I only have it in a different view. But anyway, let's get on with the other comments and questions from the chat. So we covered that already. You have to get Robert on. Yeah, so I don't want to talk about who specifically is going to get added on, just in case, you know, we got people who say no. I don't want to get people's expectations too high. But like I said, we're going to have plenty of Foxhole content creators on, both from the Warden and Colonial side. I personally am not I'm not like a Kali purist or anything like that. I'm not a factionalist, so I like talking to both sides. And I think Booty Goblin's probably like one of the first content creators I got to talk to, and we've played games together before. We're cool with each other, you know. It's a good relationship. So we're definitely going to ask him. We're going to ask plenty of other people as well. If other people have recommendations on who they want to see on future podcasts, definitely put that in the comment section when this video gets uploaded. Mention it. So, with that, let's move on to the next question. Let's see. Tachos, I think I'm going to run a large-scale sandbag facility, try to produce the most pallets of sandbags of all time. You wouldn't be the first, man, but hey, man, go for it. Go for it. I bet you could break some records for sure. Would you just do sandbags, or are you going to do barbed wire too? You know what we need more of? We need more public ammo facilities that are making 75, 95 mil or 94.5, 120, like those shells. That's what we need more of too. But I honestly like a good sandbag facility. Throwback to, I think it was War 108 when we made a sandcastle with the sandbags. That was fun. It was a lot of fun. Emothic Von Helsing. Next war may not be a full war. Dev stream should be in a week or two. You know, I've been seeing a lot of comments and people saying or speculating when the update war is going to be. They think that this war is going to be a shorter war, and I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be a full length war, you guys. I don't think they're going to go slow with it, because I think there's plenty of fixes and other work to be done that if the devs have more time to do it, why wouldn't they? You know, if the war ends up being super long, you know, just keep it up. Just keep fighting the good fight. Because again, as long as the war keeps going, the devs have more time to work on the problems to fix. So we'll see. I personally don't think it's gonna be a short war. Dev stream should be in a week or two. That'd be Super cool. I'm gonna tune in for that. We're gonna do probably a watch party in the Discord for that as well. God, I swear, if it's not, if it's just like new content and no fixes, I would be so sad. Might Fall, thanks for the follow, man. Welcome to the Gremlins. Rimboy, worrying about alts is never ending, but there are ways you can negate them. Let everyone know that something big is happening, but only you and 3 others know the target until you actually land. You could do it. Loose lips sink ships. So I agree with the loose lips sink ships. Like, you shouldn't be putting in world chat what your target is or anything like that. I totally agree. And me personally, when I did white whale invasions, I never did that. I never said, everyone, let's go here, until after we've gotten there and until after we've established ourselves. Then I make the entire world chat know where the fuck we are and everyone needs to come here. And then we're sitting in Q hell at that point. Now, what I've done and what I've said, if you're doing a public op, ask people if they're interested in joining an op. Ask people if they're interested in public operations or like want to help out with something, right? Get them added into the squad and tell them which hex to go to, where you're staging from. Make sure they're talking. If you've seen them before and you know they're not an alt, you don't have to worry about it. I've seen, maybe this is just because I play Foxhole a lot, I've seen a lot of player names over and over again, so I kind of see who is a, you know, reoccurring colonial player, and I'm not worried about them at all. You know, new players or players that, you know, may not have rank, I think that's the first red flag a lot of people have. Nothing wrong with having a red flag for that and, like, you know, maybe keeping an eye on them, but I don't assume that they're an alt right off the bat. They could just be a new player that's interested in a coordinated push or an operation or whatever. They want some coordination. They want some cooperation, and they're joining for that. So talk to them, right? You have to talk to them. Get a feel for them. It's your operation at the end of the day. If you're doing a public op and you don't want somebody in there, you don't have to have them in there. But as soon as you start telling people where you're going, I mean, it's out of your control at that point. You're going to have everyone under the sun joining you. Spiggy with the resub, dude. Welcome. Thank you, dude. Resub for 2 months. What a guy. We got that Twitch Prime. Thanks, Big. But yeah, I think you want to have some degree of OPSEC and not just be like super trusting in world chat. That's why a lot of people just, you know, stick with their regiment and just do it within the regiment and their allies. But again, we'll see how it goes next war. I'm gonna make it public. I want people to come and help with pushes and stuff. I want people to help out with our arty, and we'll see how that goes. Only one way to find out, right? Rimboy, I found the secret with low ranks. They want to play the game so much that they bought the game. I try to talk, dude, fucking prophetic. I try to talk to them. If they don't reply, I'll start saying stuff in other languages. 75% of the time, they don't speak English or even communicate or know how to communicate in game. Dude, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I've had players who just, they don't know what the binded key is to talk in game. And they're figuring that out. I think there was even a video where Badman Larry was like calling some guy an alt because he didn't know how to talk in chat. So, I mean, it happens. It happens for sure. And me personally, like, I know a few languages, so I try to whip that out as well. If you know a different language, try talking and that. See if they respond. Most of the time it's a Russian, so I'm lucky there. If you don't know Russian, L, but you know, we got to be patient. That's the main thing, you guys. Be patient with each other. I don't know how many times someone was yelling or being yelled at, or just standing there and then say, "Oh crap, that's my mic button. I couldn't find it. Sorry." Yeah, exactly. And the true alts have changed their tactics when the devs added more logs and tools to counter alts. The alts simply change how they do things. The majority, if them are gone though, but they are still there. Oh, the majority of them are gone, but they're still there. Yeah, I think, and people have talked about this, maybe needing moderation, right? And I don't know what your guys' thoughts are for in-game mods. I don't think any player should be given mod. I don't think, okay, this is gonna get me into maybe some hot water. No shit, no shade, no hard feelings, no hate. I'm gonna preface that. You take a look at like WUH or Sigil, right? And I've heard stories where, you know, you have an overzealous admin or an overzealous mod and things progress and get more hostile, and then you'll ultimately have people who just don't want to use any of that shit. They don't want to cooperate, they want to coordinate, and I've heard that as an issue within Sigil is we have regiments or players that just don't want to coordinate with each other. I mean, when you're telling people how to play the game, of course they don't want to coordinate. You're telling them how to play the fucking game, dude. When you tell people don't build facilities, when you tell people don't build this kind of tank, when you tell people don't build this kind of base, you have to build it like how I'm doing it. Nobody wants to coordinate with you. Nobody wants to cooperate with you. The whole point of Foxhole is to cooperate and work together. But if you try to strong arm your way into telling people how to play the game, you're just going to get ignored. And I've seen that within Sigil. Because of that, I don't think people who are players per se should be moderators for alt behavior, because that could get abused so easily. They need to hire people. They need to hire people. I'm saying the devs need to hire people and bring people on the team who are dedicated mods, because the devs just don't have the time to do it themselves. That's the only solution I see with that. Maybe you guys feel differently, but that's just my opinion on it. All right, let's get to the next question. Jorkalols, I plan to do a public facility for shells this war. Not sure how it'll do since it'll be my first time, but here's hoping. Well, Joker, if you're on the Kali side, I'm happy to help you out, man. If you have any questions, I'm not going to tell you how to build or anything like that. But hey, man, asking World Chat, asking, you know, if you're in any other Discords, if you need help with something. And you'll have people more than happy to give you some tips. But good luck to you, man. Good luck to you. We'll definitely need it. Adi, do Logi, get some commends early war if you want that sweet new rank. Dude, would you believe it if I told you there are people who they're like frontline purists and they're like, I only want to rank up if I'm fighting on the front line. Logi's cheating, which I'm like, dude, that's such a fucking brain rotting take. That's so silly. You have such a huge impact when you're doing Logi that if you get a rank up because of that, you are actually a better asset than just frontline fighting. But you know, if you want to just spend your time playing on the front line, you should definitely do that. But don't poo-poo on the fucking Logi boys. Those guys they're doing hard work out there. They're actually making it so you can play the game. I wrote a book, don't reply to my comments. Sorry, Rimbo, I already did. Talk about the problem with maintaining facilities and how no one is doing it. Oh boy. Okay. Darth Kermit. So, maintaining facilities and how no one is doing it. So, I've talked a little bit about this before with my personal experience with facilities and even a little bit with base building, but mainly facilities, right? Let's just talk about that. There are people who, let's talk about the new players, right? They don't know anything about the maintenance supply and how that works within the game. So they tend to overbuild and overspread themselves. I've seen solos try to make large scale facilities and then it just decays after like a week. Me personally, you guys, I'm going to just say this. If a facility is decaying and it's got shit that you like, in terms of buildings, take it over and use it. And that way you don't have to build a new one. And then if you see stuff within that facility that is up for grabs, take that shit because it's going to decay and it's going to go away. Take that shit. Make a map post, let people know. That's like free resources that people need. But in terms of just the, you know, the need to supply and then it gets abandoned, right? People overextend themselves so often. And I've seen this with people who've played the game for a number of wars. I've seen this with people who are veterans. It always ends up happening where they just think that we got X amount of players in a regiment or X number of players in a coalition. We should be able to maintain this. But people burn out. That's always going to happen. Just start with the smaller facility and build yourself up slowly over time. Don't just go straight into building the largest facility you can and having a god awful fucking MSUP modifier fuck you up even more. So my recommendation has always been, let's just start off with the basics. Start off with an MSUP facility with like 1 tank upgrade pad, if you're doing tanks, or like a facility with MSUPs and all the relevant stuff you would need to make an ammo facility, and that's it. Just stick with one thing, guys. Specialize in one thing. You can trade with other people. You can work with neighboring facilities, and if they have stuff and access to things, you can offer, you know, ASMAT 1s, 2s, whatever it might be, right, for finished goods. And that's what I like about Anvil Empires and how that looks, is because people will coordinate that way. And I think people need to be reminded of that in Foxhole, because they just want to do everything themselves, but then they end up getting spread too thin. Yeah, that's just my take on that. I think you'll have people who say stuff like, you know, if you're not in a experienced regiment, you shouldn't even touch facilities. If you're solo, you shouldn't touch facilities. There are solo facilities. Let me just say that right now. There are solo facilities, and I've seen them plenty of times. They're literally the public MSUP facilities with those public sandbags, tripods, whatever. That is easily done as a solo. I'm going to argue to the moon and back. You could do that. If you go into the tier 2, tier 3 stuff, that's where you need coordination and cooperation with other people. But tier 1, you could do it by yourself, as long as it's like 1 or 2 things max, right? If you have like an MSUP facility and then stuff to make the tripods or like the sandbags, you could do it by yourself. It's fine. You could totally do it. Now, the thing again is, when you start that, you're responsible for it. So you got to go back and make sure that it's, you know, still being upkept and whatnot. So don't get lazy with it if you end up doing it, you guys. And don't be afraid to ask for help too. Let's keep going on with the comments. Good comment, by the way, Darth Kermit. I love talking about facility stuff. I don't like the issues with it, but it's always a interesting conversation that gets brought up. Adi, any community events planned in the near future? Outside of Foxhole, man, I need to ask people what other games everyone's interested in playing. I know Rust kept getting brought up plenty of times. I'd love to do like a Rust server takeover with the lads. That'd be a lot of fun. But as of right now, I think it's mainly just been like Helldivers 2. And we'll get into that actually when we talk about just like stuff outside of Foxhole. I'm trying to think what other games people could play that are like pretty massive, but Rust is the only one that I can think of off the top of my head right now. You know what? When we're talking about stuff outside of Foxhole, that'll be like the last section of the podcast today, you guys. We're going to take a look at Twitch and see what kind of games are popular right now. Morning, Gremblo. What's up, Thriller? How are you, dude? Oggles Neck. What's up, dude? Welcome to the stream. Logi makes Foxhole. Facts, dude. I saw some dude like shit talking Logi players and blaming them for losing a war, and that was the biggest L take I've ever seen. DH, tell new players to not even look at facilities. No reason for a new player to use them until they know how to play first. I don't know, man. I don't think frontline fighting has anything to do with facility stuff. People got to learn somehow. That's why I talk about like, try building a beginner-friendly facility and stick with that. You know, get used to the MSUP consumption with that, or better yet, you know, join a facility, offer to help out with that, and learn that way. But I think new players have to learn somehow, and it's trial by fire at that point. Sticking with the small beginner-friendly facilities, that's my recommendation. I think that's what they need. Let's see. Then the facility decays, and then there's a big wide open spot of the map because everyone else moved on and built something else or somewhere else. Yeah, Oggle's Neck. I think facility players or facility builders also just, they don't build defenses. I'm saying generally, but you've got some facility builders who just, they say like, I'm in the back line, I'm in the mid line, I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to make defenses. It's fine. It's like, but dude, if you're gonna build like a tank upgrade station. You're building like a fucking Ares or something like that. BTs. Let's go with BTs. You got to have defenses. You got to have defenses. You can't just expect people to QRF. That's not enough. You need defenses first. Yeah, and then when they give up, nobody takes over that spot, and then you just have like a gap in your line. Totally, yeah, it gets annoying there. Roomboy, it's also the ammo factory next to the oh god, excuse me, boys. It's the ammo factory next to the ammo factory next to the 4 M-Sup barb combos, same road, massive stretch of random facilities. Yep. That's why, like, if you're new to a spot and you already see facilities established, that's why, me personally, if I was focusing on facilities for a war, I would just ask if they want help, right? Like, I'll drive them Logi. I'll bring like raw resources for that facility in exchange for like them teaching me about the facility and giving me access to it. That's it. I think players, especially new ones, need to understand that like your time and effort actually has value in the game and can be traded for things that you want, right? Like if I bring a flatbed full of components to a facility, I'm going to ask for a spatha, or I'm going to ask for something else, right? Maybe they say yes, maybe they say no, right? Maybe it's not a good deal. Either way, you should just barter, like barter, you know, ask people what they think in terms of the value of what you're bringing and what you can get out of it and what you value, and see if you guys can come to a compromise. And I think that's the beauty of Foxhole, is that cooperation and working together towards a common goal. Or maybe you have two different goals, right? You need to build a vetted tank and this person just wants access to a, you know, newer tank. There you go. Let's see. Next question, you guys. Facilities should not be made to do everything unless you have a huge faction behind it. Arty facilities are pretty easy to do solo. Oh, that's a different question. Okay, DH's comment. Facilities should not be made to do everything unless you have a huge faction behind it. Totally agree, man. Absolutely. Even a large facility, a large faction, I don't think they should cover everything. It just, you're going to burn out the players within the faction. So, yeah, definitely agree with that. Let's see. Next, let's go to YouTube, guys. Let's switch off from Twitch. Let's go straight to YouTube. Mad King, you're going to be warden this war. No, man, I'm sticking with Collies. Reason why I keep sticking with Collies, and this is purely a design issue for the game. I need to leave the Gremlins in order to go warden. And I'm the creator and commander of the warden, or the fucking not wardens. I'm the creator and commander of the Gremlins. So like somebody else would have to then take over for the regiment. And I'd rather not lead to that issue. I'd rather just go warden as a gremlin. And I don't understand why I can't do that. But that's the design that we have currently in the game. You have to literally leave your colonial regiment, even though you're not going collie for whatever reason, in order to switch sides. But like, what if I want to be a gremlin? I'm still going to create the same, I'm going to create the same regiment on the warden side. So what's the point? Anyway, that's the whole reason why I'm staying green. Jay Freem, they need to close Charlie and make it a training server. So many useless facilities in the war. Most are noobs just trying the game out, in my opinion. So yeah, they already did close Charlie, but I see what you're saying. So like, make it a training server instead. I guess that's the whole point of the home region, right? Is like you could get training there on how to do stuff, but they just need a new tutorial. And I think that's what a lot of people are asking for, an updated, better tutorial. Content creators like, what's his name? Freak and, you know, Robert and myself, we've made guides on how to do certain things within the game. And I think they're helpful for new players, but I think they just need to also incorporate that into the game somehow. So, okay, I think that's it for YouTube questions and comments. Jay from Go Green, I am 100%, dude. I'll see you in the front line. Freric, yeah, that guy. Thank you, Room Boy. So, if we see more YouTube comments, I'll come back to YouTube. Let's go back to Twitch, you guys. Let's see what's going on here. Freric. Dude, that name is so hard to say. Holy shit. Thriller, arty facilities are pretty easy to do solo though. I thought arty facilities were tier 2 though. It's been a little while since I've actually managed facilities, so I need to take a look at that. I would still say you'd need like maybe 2 or 3 people if you're doing that. T1 motor pool facilities are great early game. What else do the tier 1 motor pool facilities have aside from like the upgraded haulers? I think they've got like the small train, right? Like the train engine. Dude, guys, most underrated hauler upgrade. You're hearing it live for the first time. Most underrated. The Sisyphus. The fucking Sisyphus, guys. That early war, Sisyphus is OP. And I'm going to show you guys, because I think this war I'm going to try doing that. Oh, fuck, no, my... Ooh. I don't know if I want to say this right now. No, I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to post about it in the Discord for anyone that's actually joining the Gremlins. This is what we're going to do. Fuck, I don't know if we're going to do it tomorrow or if we're going to do it next week. We're probably going to have to do it next week. Anyway, we're going to do something extremely goofy, and it's going to piss the entire... it's going to piss off everyone on both sides. But it's going to be such a meme. It's going to be great. Anyway, yeah, Sisyphus, super OP, love it. Because of how quick it goes, like, you could just get out of partisan traps so easily. And also, when I'm barreling down a road into the enemy front line, I'm just running over everyone. And I'm going to take out sandbags. That's the other thing, too, is, like, early war, a lot of people use sandbags for frontline defense. So if you have a Sisyphus, just fucking launch that shit, dude. Run that thing over. You're good. Roblox, probably not, Room Boy. Thriller AO, somebody said Rust. Hell yeah, dude. You can join the village if we end up doing that. Just sled neck is fine. All right, I'm gonna say sled neck. There we go. DH, nah, I mean more learn Logi first, then lean into facilities. Yeah, I think Logi first is good. Especially because you can tie in Logi with facility stuff too. Yeah. You've run into a bunch of people that start and think the refinery is a facility building. Yeah, so I see what you're saying now. Like, they need to learn more about the Logi loop and the buildings. Learn more about the game before they get into some of the more complicated stuff, like building a facility. Yep. That makes sense. Darth Carmen, I feel like we need more facility workers in Logi than frontline fighters. You know, yeah, so there needs to be a better spread, right? Like, I think you've got more people who are just wanting to do full-on frontline fighting, and that's fine. But because of that, you also have less people that are interested in doing Logi or facility stuff. I mean, I was one of maybe 2 or 3 people consistently doing Logi last war out of Jade Cove. There were people in the start that were doing Logi, and then they just like fizzled out. They were doing other stuff. Or they're... I don't count the people doing Logi for the regiment per se, but yeah, it's definitely needed. More Logi for sure. Oh, here's a question. What's your opinion on the Orb Breaker situation? Because if I remember correctly, you were part of them for a while. Orb Breaker situation. I think I fundamentally don't agree with being in a coalition. I think that's my whole thing. I saw how it works, and I just don't like it. You know, I think the largest any group should go is a regiment, and I've talked a little bit about this I think a few streams ago. But like, when you have, and we saw this last war, when you have a coalition, they commits themselves so many times over and over and over again. And it just doesn't work out. I think it was like NEP or some other coalitions in the north. They just gave up. They all burnt out. And you still had players, yeah, individual players fighting. But like overall, that coalition just quit for the war. So I think that's a huge liability because you have a higher chance of the entirety of that group just taking a break of war. Whereas if you have individual regiments fighting, and maybe they work together still, right? But like it's for an operation, then they go back to doing their own thing, and then they join up again later on for another operation. Like, I think it just keeps the group more lively and fresh than full on committing. So that's my take. If there was anything else within it, I don't know. No comment. I don't see myself putting the Gremlins in a coalition ever again. I think we're gonna just go at our own. If we want to team up with a coalition for op, totally down. But we are not going to be members of a coalition moving forward. Great question, by the way. Partisan Hero. Charlie Wardens know how to play the game, so no need for training server. College just need to teach their new players. Totally agree, man. Totally agree. Dude, the fucking Wardens on Charlie are fucking mad lads. A lot of them are like experienced players, though. I didn't see too many new ones. I think there were regiments who were fighting in Farinac Coast. I think some of the French regiments were in Charlie. I know Booty Goblin, I think, was fighting in the Charlie Shard. So there's definitely not veterans, but you know what I mean? Like people with experience fighting in the newer Shard, teaching their new players. And that's a great idea. You know, go to the new Shard and teach the new players there. And by the time they come to Able, they're more experienced. DH, they are, but you can get ammunition factory pretty easy. Train is base. Motor pool is AC stuff. And a few other things. I see. Okay, so tier 1 motor pool is AC stuff and then Jeeps. Cool. Yeah, no, dude, and tier 1, like you were saying, and we've already said that, tier 1 stuff can be done solo and they make a good impact. You can dabble in facility stuff without making a sprawling eyesore. I hope they add a roundhouse for the locomotive and cars. Dude, I don't know shit about trains. What the fuck's a roundhouse? Sounds like you're fucking roundhouse kicking. If a seaport can store hundreds of vehicles inside itself, a roundhouse could store a train car and locomotive safely. Oh, okay, that explains it. There we go. Motor pool is also tank cats and Jeeps. Yeah, we talked about that. Bardman, what's up, man? Thing is, if you force people to log in, they'll lose interest in the game. Exactly. So we're gonna talk maybe in the next podcast next week. We're gonna talk about burnout. We're gonna talk about like ways to mitigate it. I think a lot of people think that they just, and I saw this a lot on the colonial side when we were in the last like couple days of the war, people being like, how the fuck did we lose like the entire north of the Hex? How the fuck did we lose the middle of the map? What's going on? Well, one, you logged out. Not that, again, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with taking a break, but when you log out, right, other people log out too. It's not just you. People need breaks. People want breaks, you know? People need to take a break from the game, do other things. Me personally, I think if you can't de-stress yourself by doing something else in the game, I like, for example, if I'm getting stressed out and I'm tilted on the front line and I'm sick and tired of dying and I want to help out my faction, I'm going to do Logi. And I'm going to lean into Logi for like several days until I get bored and it becomes tedious. And then I'm going to go back to the front line. And I'm staying fresh and I'm doing more of that. Other people need to take a break from the game entirely and just play something else. And that's something they should do. It's a weird take to be like, what the fuck happened to the front, you guys? I like logged out for an entire week or a month. It's like, yeah, I mean, you logged out, man. That's it. You stop playing the game. When we have people that stop playing the game, we lose the front. And that's fine, but you have to mitigate that burnout to begin with, right? Like you need to be in a spot mentally where you're not putting yourself in a stressful situation when you're playing Foxhole, and just take a break by doing something in the back line, or just do something like less stressful, right? Logi is the least stressful thing you could do, in my opinion. You don't even need to do frontline Logi. I'm talking about like making stuff in the back line, putting it in a storage depot for you to deliver to the front line, or like helping out some other team with gathering resources. Super chill. Just my take. All right, let's go back to YouTube. I saw some more comments there, and we're going to return back to Twitch. This is great, guys. I'm loving the conversation. So again, with the layout of the podcast. We're going to keep this up towards the end, just getting people to come in and talk a little bit more. Again, when I have a guest on, we'll both be chatting with chat. We'll take turns going back and forth, reading your questions and comments. So keep it up, you guys. This is great. All right, back in YouTube. Collies or Wardens? Yep, I'm going green. Flirty, what's up, dude? How are you, man? How long until Sledgehammer's Thriller? 15 minutes. Fucking, you know it. You know it. Flirty, when are you coming back to Foxhole, dude? You got to get some gaming in. All right, I think that's it for YouTube. We're caught up on YouTube. Let's go back to Twitch. So in your Thriller was saying, so in your opinion, coalitions are the place regiments go to die. Not necessarily, no. I think coalitions are where you get to learn what kind of player you are, and it's because I say that because some players and some regiments do work well in coalitions. I mean, if you look at Sundial, you look at NEP, you look at MSA, I mean, they are long-standing coalitions that have worked well together for a long time. And that's because those players work well in a coalition. They all buy into it. They all agree to it. They all have a singular focus, and they all want to work to achieve that. So not a place where regiments go to die. I think, if anything, coalitions are, like I said before, a place where you go to realize what kind of player you are and what kind of regiment you are, if you're a regiment leader. And for me, I realized that coalitions just aren't what I'm looking for. When I built the Gremlins and the whole idea for the Gremlins, it was supposed to be a regiment, and it still is, but it's a regiment where new players can go to learn different parts of the game in a non-judgmental environment. And the expectation is we're all going to make mistakes and we're all going to fuck up. And that's the best way to learn, is to try new things and figure out what works and what doesn't work. You can listen to what other people tell you. I personally don't do that. I don't as a learner, I don't listen to what somebody else tells me and just take it as fact. I learn from experience best, and that's why I've always told people, like, hey man, me personally, I'm not managing a regiment, I'm not managing a facility, or I'm not managing a base. If you guys want to do that, be my guest. I'm not going to be responsible for that. I've had a few times where I think that's happened and they have needed help. But again, I say point blank, I know my limitations and I know where I want to spend my time, and I just don't have it in me. I don't have the heart to grind in a facility. There are times where I do, and I will do it. And I'm starting to feel that now. I've had several wars where I haven't done anything in facilities, and I'm starting to get that itch where I want to do like a public facility, or like I want to do more in facility work. That's not going to be this war. It might be next war though. And that happens, and those players, they realize, oh shit, like I'm not going to get that support in the regiment. It's like, yeah, you're on your own. I'm not going to force anybody to help out if that's not something that they want to do, because the regiment is like, it's all volunteer. Like I'm not interviewing anyone. I'm not seeing if they're going to be a good fit from the beginning, which honest to God, that's probably a detriment. I really should do something about that. But I like to feel people out and go forward from there, right? Like if you join the regiment, that's cool. The barrier to entry should be low, because I want all new players to come in and not feel judged, and I want them to get experience. I'll filter people out after that. If you're not a good fit in the regiment, or you seem toxic, or you just, it's not gonna be a good fit. It's not gonna be a good environment. That's when I start filtering people out, because I can always do that, and I feel like it's better that way, so that new players can just get right into joining the Gremlins, because all they have to do is post a screenshot proving that they're a collie, and they can join an op right then and there. They can start playing with us right then and there. When I tried joining other regiments, like, oh man, before I made the Gremlins, I tried joining SOM. That shit was so fucking that was so not stressful. It was so intimidating, because I'm just a new guy who doesn't know anybody, and I have to like answer some of these questions and whatnot. This was like early days. I want to say like several, like in the war 80s, war 90s. which really isn't early days for some now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, this was like early days from me before I started the regiment. And I couldn't get involved into it. I felt like I needed to prove myself. And I think that's actually a thing that they have is like the auxiliaries. You like need to play more before you become a full member. And I'm like, ooh, I feel like I'm like an out person because I got this title. You know, I have to like prove myself by like playing the game more. And even then it's like, I have to do things that I may not like agree with. And it's just, to me, it didn't seem like a good environment. 141 CR though, I did like that. And they have a good like breakdown of different groups that you can join. I think I would recommend them for like new players if they want to be in a large regiment. I love 141 CR. All the players I've talked to and I've met, not a single negative thing to say. I've met some nice guys and I've talked to plenty of nice guys. Also met plenty of dickheads, unfortunately. But I think that just goes with like you're buying into the regiment by spending time and money. And so there's that like pedigree associated with it. And so I think some people get a bit of an ego because of that, unfortunately. But in any case, not everyone's bad in every regiment, right? Everyone's got their dickheads. And, you know, some of them I enjoy spending more time with. And that's the beauty of playing Foxhole. You can choose who you want to associate and play with. You don't have to play with every regiment. Going back to what I was saying earlier, right? Of some people in Sigil saying like, you know, people don't want to cooperate. It's like, well, you know, if they don't like you, if they don't like this organization or this setup or this regiment, they don't have to play with you, man. I mean, it's a big world in Foxhole. It's a big fucking overworld. You could join any hex and play with anyone you want. You don't have to just keep fighting in one spot. That's just how it is. But yeah, good question, man. Good question. Love it, Thriller. I was on that for a while. DH, personally, I want to see a partial rework on the MSUP consumption rate. Wish that the longer the building is down, the less MSUPs it would cost over time. I like that idea. Yeah, absolutely. So like if it's offline, it would consume less MSUPs. That makes sense. It's that way. It's hard to keep big facilities up at the start, but as people keep it up, less and less people would need to work or would need. Wait, less people work are needed as the work goes on. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think if you turn stuff off, you should totally, have like a less MSUP consumption for that. Because like, what's the point? This way people put effort at the start and then do less as the burnout starts. Yeah, totally agree. Thriller, I personally want it to go back to the old days, War 94 MSUP consumption rates. Dude, those were the days, man. Those were the fucking days. Honestly, I think some people would even say we need to go back to like pre-facilities. Like, get rid of the facilities. Let's start from there, right? And, you know, I think they just need to rework it. Like, there's some good stuff with the facilities. I agree with the idea of not locking tank variants behind facilities 100%. I think you should have an option to vet them and upgrade them. That's totally, I get that 100%. That makes a lot of sense. But goddamn, it sucks, dude. Like, I just want to play with the Spatha. I just want an LTD, like, or a Kreneska. Why do I have to fucking make a facility for that, dude? Come on. And then grind for that. It's so bad. DH. Yeah, either way, the current setup is doing more burnout than anything. Exactly, because of the massive grind, dude. The massive grind sucks. But that's just how the vision is right now at this point. Maybe it'll change. We'll see. Mr. Freebird, I logged out when we owned 75% of the map. Came back a few days later. We were losing. I was dumbfounded. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. I mean, I remember, I think it was War 100 when we had our comeback as Colonials, right? I mean, it happens both sides. I think when people spend more time, you know what it is, right? Is we had such a huge lead that I think people got like complacent, but we were also spending a lot of time pushing. Like the amount of pushes we had into Cuttail Station in retrospect, because I was saying like, we got to keep pushing, guys. We got to keep the pressure on. I think that was an example where we needed to dig in get arty and just shell the fuck out of them. We never do that. We need to do more of that. We need to get our arty, since it's way more mobile, in positions to shell the fuck out of these fucking cities and put pressure on for a push. But that just comes to coordination. We need better coordination when we're trying to take a town like that. Just makes doing, DH said the facility stuff makes doing mid to large facilities asked to do. And I think that it had something to do with the consumption, MSUP consumption, right? Yeah. Again, I mean, they're just not viable. Large facilities are not viable at all. Unless if your regiment is doing nothing but facility stuff. I think we had a question in YouTube I'm going to quickly answer. Anyone know some active Warden clans? Kind of new and looking for an active group in EU or NA. Denny. Man, I haven't played Warden in a while. Honestly, dude, the only one that I know that I personally like is Caker. They're smaller. They're not large. But they are active. They're super cool. Booty Goblin is in that regiment. And I think you'd have a lot of fun with them. Honestly, I don't think you should join like a massive regiment, either Colonial or Warden, just because there's so many like easy, low-key regiments that are gonna give you the same amount of exposure. So definitely recommend Caker. Hit him up. Go to Booty Goblin's YouTube, and you could ask him about it too. But I'm sure he also has other recommendations for Warden specific. So, Thriller, I'm one of those, listen, facilities are useful, but at the same time, we shouldn't be locking stuff behind facilities like SHTs. It's understandable, but Spatha's cranny, come on. Yeah, totally agree, man. Like some of the more heavy stuff like BTs, right? They can also be facility locked. Ares, they could be facility locked. But goddamn, dude, those variants for the fucking early tanks, that blows. I think the reason they did it was mainly just so that they can get more people invested and interested in facility stuff. That's how they do it. Sile, thanks for the follow, man. Welcome to the stream. Again, thank you all so much for coming to the first episode of the Gremlin Gazette, first Foxhole podcast episode. I think there's got to be other Foxhole podcasts, right? I know, like, what's it called? The Free Press or like the Foxhole Press. Don't they do like podcasts? I don't know if they do anymore, but that's the only one I know of right now. All right, guys, let's get back into the Twitch comments and questions. Ooh, I'm losing my voice here. Jesus Christ. Emothic. Freebird. Yeah, a lot of Wardens in the south decided to abandon taking down Fingers and Terminus and went north instead. Yeah, that really pushed shit around for us, but dude, like that put a lot of pressure on us northern collies. Goddamn. DH, Charlie merged and Charlie Wardens flooded the servers. That was the start of the end. But we also had some collies come in too. It's just, again, the difference is I think we had more veterans and experienced players staying on Able, but Wardens had plenty of experienced players going on Charlie and teaching the new players. So I think that helped them in the long run. In terms of population, like there's just more Warden players. There's more Warden regiments, so they're able to keep those operations going like day after day. But hey, guys, we've won before. We've won before. We can come back. We can do it. It's just about coordination. It's about not burning out. That's the main thing. And don't get cocky. Heard they closed Charlie, Mr. Freebird. Yes, they did. They did a little while ago. Bardman, Spatha or Bardiche? Spatha, 100%. You know, I'm a bit of a butch. You know, I like Bardiche, dude. I like that big girthy tank power. But because of the reload speed on that Spatha, and honestly, dude, I was playing Spatha in my last video that came out yesterday. By the way, you should watch that if you haven't already. On the last video that I did when I was in the Spatha with Cove and Darth Kermit, dude, that thing was taking a beating, and we were still coming out on top with that extra, like, I think 5 meter range, because Bardiche only has what, 35 meter. I mean, dude, Spatha is just top 10 now for me. Top five of all tanks, top 5 for sure. Wasn't that a Falchion? No, it was a Spatha, I thought. Now you got me looking up my video. No, it's 100% a Spatha. 100%. I remember. There was another one where I was in a falchion, but yeah. All right, let's go on to the next question. Mr. Freebird, it needs to stay dead. He's talking about Charlie Shard. Turn it into an actual training ground. Home region training is a joke, especially for facilities. Rip Bert. Yeah, dude, Rip Bert. So I think you could still do that in the what's it called? In the fucking home region. I agree that things can be made so that the what's it called? In the shard, the Charlie Shard, you can have a training element, or at least a focus within that shard. And the way you do that, you could even like reduce you could reduce the cost it takes for like MPF and construction and stuff like that. Or like I'd be interested in seeing like reducing like the cost for some things, right? Just so that people have access to these quicker. Change the tech tree up a little bit too. Just so people can like play around with these things. It's more of like a dev branch at that point, right? But that'd be interesting if they could turn it into a training ground. You know what'd be really interesting is if they had like kind of an arena mode within Foxhole where you have a hex that's an arena, X amount of tanks on one side, X amount of tanks on the other side, player built defenses, which there need to be way more player built defense. No, never mind. Scratch that. Forget what I said. Player built defenses, both sides already created, and we're good to go. That'd be super cool. I'd love to see an arena mode in Foxhole. Bardman, I think coalitions are good for clans with very specific roles like engineering, logi, and tanks, and have ops where they work together. Yeah, I think coalitions are great where you can get that cooperation, but I don't know, man. Like I was saying before, like it could lead to some severe burnout for entire regiments if the coalition keeps like banging their head against the wall and like burning out that way. Everyone's different. Me personally, I just don't think coalitions are a good fit for me or my regiment. Emothic was also saying to Bardman, also good for large multi-role regiments, better op time coordination. Yeah, when you're doing like large scale invasions and stuff and pushes through hexes, that's where you need multiple regiments pushing together for sure. Let's double check real quick, see if there's anything else for YouTube. We have no comments in YouTube right now, so we are going to stick with Twitch. DH, Sam is way more serious than a lot of regiments. God damn, I am far behind. We're talking about Sam still in the chat. Also, Evelyn, thanks for the follow. Totally missed that. My bad. Welcome to the Gremlins. DH, Sam is way more serious than a lot of regiments. Warden regiments are weird. Damn, dude. Sam is more serious. Again, it goes back to that pedigree that I was talking about. Warden regiments being weird. I'm sure they would say the same thing to us collies, dude. Mr. Freebird, ever try to join a big blue regiment? It's toxic as fuck. No, I haven't. Last time I went Warden, I brought the Gremlins with me. There were only a handful of us, and I don't think anybody knew who we were. We just showed up, and it was pretty low key, which was nice. I like that. I don't think I would join, like I said, any after the last coalition I was in. I'm not going to join any like large scale coalitions. I'll cooperate and work with other people and other large regiments, but not joining. I'm happy with the Gremlins. I'm happy with the group of guys and gals that are with us. We got a good, wholesome community, and you know, I just want to keep teaching new people. That's the focus. Bardman, yeah, but some are dicks. They're dicks. Again, I've met plenty of nice and cool, down-to-earth Som people. They've got some people like that. I've made some videos where those same individuals were in them, and I always get a laugh when I see that shit, dude. It's funny, but nah, not everyone in Som are dicks. Not everyone is. DH, some try to do ranks in their regiment and run them in enlisted and officers. Yeah, like I was talking about before, like how you have the auxiliary group and then you have like the actual full Som players, and then they have like different ranks within them. But you know, plenty of regiments do that too. For me, and the way I've always wanted to do it, I don't have ranks per se within the Gremlins. The only rank I've given is officer status for the Gremlins, and the reason being is because as we get bigger and bigger, we do need more people kind of like, you know, talking with new players, teaching them new parts of the game, mainly just managing the regiment, adding new players, being kind of the leadership if I'm not there. And that's just how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to have like sergeants or like non-commissioned officers. I'm not going to have like commanders who are going to run ops or anything like that. I'll tell people like point blank, hey, take over the op if I'm dead, right? Like run the tank line until I come back. I've done that for officers, and I've done that for people who aren't officers who are interested in shot calling, just so that they can get that experience. So I don't think you need to be an officer to have a say in a regiment, in my opinion. That's just military some. Dude, maybe that is just military some. Like that's the personality of people that play Foxhole, and that's how they act. They take it very seriously. But hey, I mean, to each their own. It's not, DH was saying it's not weird to say, but they run it super serious. Okay, yeah, so we're just talking about some are just super serious regiments. Mr. Freebird, get your commend farming hat on. Dude, I love me a good commend sesh, you know, just fucking going up to the front with my flatbed, my iron ship. Dude, that needs to be fixed. It's so fucked that you bring an iron ship full of fucking shipping containers, you only get commends for one of them. That's only one of them shows up on the fucking screen. I have to drive them to a different hex, depot them there, in order for it to actually matter. So silly. DH, if you're a new player doing doing good work, good luck having a voice. Yeah, I mean, and that's just politics. Like that's player dealing with dealing with leadership. Let's see. Next question. Imothic. Many regiments run with a ranking and command structure, and they don't have to be super serious. Exactly. Like it's the same with my regiment, right? Like that's how we have it's certified gremlin, and then cool goy. Those are the officers, and then it's me. That's it. I like to keep it super like streamlined and straightforward. We don't need to have like multiple structures. I don't need like, this is the person who's in charge of logi. This is the person in charge of base building. This is the person in charge of frontline ops. This is the person in charge of. First of all, we're not there. We're not that big, and I think that just is unnecessary. We don't need that. But everyone runs their regiment different, right? Der Hot Shot. If your regiment gets big enough, you need to have such roles to coordinate stuff and keep it organized. Yeah, so that's why I think it makes sense to have officers or people who, you know, they've been in the regiment. I'm not going to talk about like specifics with picking officers and what you should look for and all that. That maybe for a different video, but I don't want that to be abused. I think that you need to have some structure. It just doesn't need to be rigorous, and it doesn't need to be serious. You just need people who would be a good face, and also they're able to like listen to what's the main objective and the focus for the regiment and able to act on it, right? Structure is not inherently bad. It's just the type of structure, like more so the people within that structure, right? I think having good people in leadership is super important. Good question. Good comment. Barband. Warden clans are usually bigger, so ranks are sometimes necessary. Collies tend to have more small clans. Yeah, and again, that's like population, right? Like you have more Warden players, so it's you have more Warden players, so you're gonna have way more players in these regiments, and the structure is gonna be more impactful that way. DH, keeping concrete bases up is also pretty ass right now. Yeah, dude, it is. I do like the different RMAT changes and comp changes mainly RMATs, but that's really made it so like comps are being used more in concrete structures. That's another thing where like if you're like a new Logi player and you're trying to figure out what to do, farm resources, mainly comps, put them into a what's it called, a concrete mixer. Just make concrete, make a fuck ton of concrete. That's gonna get used. Mr. Freebird, green pushes more than a woman in labor. That's a fucking good one, dude. That's a chuckle. Maverick, what's up, dude? Welcome. Why use tanks when a jeep or a gunboat does the job? That's the fucking certified boat way, Maverick. I know you guys love your jeeps and you love your gunboats. They got to bring back the white whale. I'm telling you. Emothic, a way to fix facilities is to have them function similar to town-based refineries and factories. A group can build a facility and players who don't own it can submit resources into the buildings, like a refinery, but they submit into a reserve. But to keep things balanced, there is a queue production order, so you have to wait until other production orders are finished. This can reduce the amount of facilities and have better public production. That's a great idea. I think that would look so nice. And I think some people have even mentioned like make them just even world buildings. Like facilities should be world buildings. I think making them player made is still great, but having them kind of work where like it's like a refinery, right? Or like a factory. That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. Great comment, dude. Bardman, no matter what you do, don't join 82DK. 82 dumb kids. Oh my god, dude. No comment. I haven't had issues with 82DK. They're funny. I like them. We don't talk about cheaters, alters, and exploiters. Still pissed at them for phasing tanks through the bulwark. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave that there then. I have no comment on that. Let's move on. Devs knew about the exploit for years, talking about the bulwark. They could have easily fixed it, but decided to ignore it. I think they were just mainly focused on getting the naval stuff taken care of, right? Like they wanted naval to go live and to be the best it possibly could be, which it's still not, unfortunately. But you know, it's a process. I know they're working on it. Hopefully the next update, we'll see how the next update looks. I swear, I'm going to say it again, guys. If it's not, I've said it for, I feel like the past 2 updates now. I want to see more quality of life updates, not new content. And we keep getting new content and a little bit of quality of life. Make the next update all quality of life, a little bit of content, please. Please. That's all I'm asking for. Evelyn, welcome to the stream. I love the Pelikeys. 5 more meters, but you can't take damage. Yeah, and I think you also have like that engine at the front of the at the front of the tank, so you're exposed from getting like disabled that way. Pelikeys, from like the look, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. That love the look of the Pelikeys. I don't use it enough. I'm usually like if I'm going to use the hatchet, it's either base hatchet or Kreneska. I like that speed boost. Bardman, we had a vetted Bardetian War 102 when the STD was still OP, and we nicknamed it penicillin. Penicillin? Dude, what's the... Okay, why'd you name it penicillin? I gotta know why. Let's keep going here. Yeah, they're talking about the Spatha still. DH was saying he wants a heavy version of the Pelikeys to help counter the HTD that isn't the BTD. That could be interesting. Punk Rock, what's up, Booty Goblin? Dude, what's up, man? How's your day going? Bring back zombie mode. I haven't played zombie mode. Have you played that? Who's done that? I only did the Relic War. Zombie mode sounds like fun. We gotta have... Dude, there needs to be different modes, and they need to cycle them in between regular wars. So it should go like here, like this, right? You have regular war. Let's say it's War 111 right now. The next war should either be a zombie mode, an arena mode, or something, right? Like just something to break it up. Make it like 2 weeks. Give people a break. Then go back to another war, right? Then after that, another break. Do like a different version, right? Like the zombie, or I think wasn't there like a mech one, like something harvest? Maybe that is the zombie one. But there's like add mechs, add something fucking crazy and weird. That'd be so funny. That'd be a good time, dude. Sadly, that may never happen. The 1.0 update makes it very difficult to bring back the game mode. Ah, rip, bro. Fucking rip. That's not what I want to hear. I'm finally catching up. Let's go, guys. Let's check YouTube again. Let's see. Thriller, hey Gremblo, how many hours do you have in Foxhole? Let's see. I'm gonna pull up Steam right now. I have 1,048 hours, so not a lot in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I got nothing. Rust used to be my most played game at 844 hours. And then I think Counter-Strike after that. Interesting. I thought you had higher. Yeah, no, I don't. I do not at all. I take break. You know, the reason why I don't have higher numbers is because I play Foxhole maybe 3 or 4 days out of the week, right? And it's mainly when I'm streaming. And then other than that, dude, I'm just editing. I'm editing videos the rest of the week. Maybe I'll like log in a little bit and like do some logi or prep for either an operation or a video idea that I have, but that's pretty much it. I'm not playing every single day. And I'm definitely not playing for like 5 or 6 hours a time. Maybe 3 hours. Darth Kermit, can you post in the Discord how someone who's already in a regiment can join yours and become active in yours, but still be in their regiment? Yes. So I haven't posted it yet. I only mentioned it before, but if you are in a regiment, there is an ally chat channel that I created. So you still do the same process, Darth Kermit, of putting a screenshot of your F1 screen in the Foxhole chat channel. And I'm going to add this in like the roles section. But if you want to join as an ally, you just post that screenshot. And if I see that you're in a regiment already, I'll confirm that you're in a regiment. And if you're staying in that, or better yet, if you just tell me, hey, I'm in a regiment, I just want to be an ally, that's great. I'll just give you ally role. And what you'll be able to see is we post in the ally chat channel upcoming operations we're going to do for people to join. Our allies can also post stuff that they're doing in that channel for us to see, and we'll join if people are interested, which not enough people do. I feel like they just post in their own Discord, which is totally fair and fine, but I'm not in those Discords. So yeah, we just try to coordinate that way. So when the war starts, post a screenshot and I'll get you added. That goes for everyone in the what's it called? Stream right now. If you're listening, you want to join the Gremlins, feel free to post a screenshot of your F1 screen. Kermit said his F1 doesn't work, or it's not allowed. You might have to rebind it then. I think there's a setting to do that. But honestly, Kermit, I remember you from playing before. I'll just add you, man. It's all good, man. No worries. If you have an issue like that and I haven't been able to like actually see you in game, we'll have to work something out. But yeah, dude, we played before. It's all good. Don't even worry about it. We do, so for the regiment, we do purge everything, all the roles at the end of every war or just before the start of a new one. So actually right now, everyone's purged right now, if you haven't checked it yet. When the war starts, just, again, post your screenshots. I'm going to make a comment about that when the war starts. Unfortunately, I can't play much when the war just starts. Not that I'm going to be missing a whole lot anyway. It's going to be a fucking mad dash. It's going to be a mad dash at the start. So I'll play later tonight, though. And hopefully I'll see some of you guys as well. All right, let's keep going, guys. Bring back CMATs to MSUPs in the MSUP tunnels. Oh, dude, that was so nice. That was so nice. The passive production was great. Oh, dude, I missed that. DH, wish I could get more into Rust. Every time I play, I just run into the most vile people and it ruins the game for me. Not talking about normal toxic, but racist and etc. people. Yeah, that's the fucking That's the community. Not inherently, but like, dude, just the gameplay loop. It's you lose everything, so it's gonna piss people off and make them toxic. But it's fun. I like messing with those people. Nerf Nautilus support. Dude, you fucking hate Nautilus? I love Nautilus. Thanks, man. Appreciate the follow. Welcome to the stream, you guys. Welcome. And Slothro with the follow. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much. Thanks for joining in. This has been such a great first episode of the podcast. There's still comments coming in. I wasn't expecting for it to run this long. I thought it'd be like maybe an hour. We're almost at 2 hours, you guys. Jeez, we're going to have a long first episode. Okay, next question. Let's move on. Darth Kermit still doesn't beat my 17,000 hours on Skyrim on the Xbox 360. Did I just say Xbox Sissy? Xbox 360. That game was my childhood, dude. Fucking great game. We already read all that, and I think I'm caught up finally, guys. Of course, H-Ward was in the Cuttail Station. They're always there to run counter to the Gremlins. I think they just picked the side that we picked because we both like that side. They do run counter us pretty often. There's gonna be like lore written about like the fights between H-Ward and Gremlins, dude. It happens so much. H-Ward's pretty cool. I like their the guy who leads H-Ward. He's pretty cool. I like that guy. But wow, guys, look at that. We're all caught up now. I think that's it for the community chat Q&A section. We're done. That's it, guys. First episode in the books. Let's talk a little bit about, again, for those of you that are new and just joined. So this is the first episode of the Gremlin Gazette, a Foxhole focused podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about stuff outside of podcast or outside of the Foxhole events going on as well. I don't want it to just be Foxhole purely, but it will be primarily Foxhole. That'll change with the addition of guests. So for the next episode, you guys, the podcast will be aired live every Sunday moving forward at 10 o'clock Eastern. If you want to know when that is in your time, take a look at the Twitch schedule. I'm going to be updating that. I'm also going to be posting updates to all my streams when I go live in my Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, definitely go in there, take a look at that. You can mute any and all of the other channels, but maybe leave the announcements channel unmuted if you want to keep up to date on that, or just check it every Thursday to Sunday. That's when I stream. But Sundays specifically will be for the live showing of the Gremlin Gazette. The videos. So we're going to have the podcast viewable on YouTube, on my channel. They'll be posted every Sunday. This one will likely go out this Sunday. If I have the time to edit it. If not, it'll be going out next Sunday. And then we will also have it live on, well, not live. We're going to have it viewable on Spotify as well. That one's only going to be audio. So if you want to see video, definitely tune in to YouTube. Take a look at that. Again, every Sunday, you'll see it there. But if you're on the go and you can't catch the episode live, or you can't catch the YouTube version, you got Spotify as well. Links to that will be uploaded next week. So for the next stream, next Sunday, I'll have the Spotify link viewable for you guys. And you know what? This video is going to go live next week too. I don't want to rush anything. I want to do everything right the first time, you guys. So thank you all so much again for tuning in for this first episode. It's been 2 hours long, you guys. 2 hours long. We had some really good discussion, covered some interesting topics. We're going to have a guest coming on next week, hopefully. Not sure who at the moment. Don't want to spoil anything. But if you are interested in joining and you are a content creator, feel free to comment in the YouTube section, YouTube comment section, if you're interested in joining, and we can work something out. But until then, you guys, thank you all so much again. And I'll catch you all on the front line for War 111.